Good morning. Good morning. Before we begin our soul singing today, I invite those of you joining us in our online space to grab a chalice or candle that you will be able to light with us as we light our chalice. And we can sing in the sanctuary now, so long as everyone keeps their masks on. So with that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and together we are going to sing hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine, verses 1 and 2. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Welcome. Welcome everyone. Enter, rejoice, and come in to our multi-platform space here at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Miami, or as we affectionately call it, UU Miami. As a member of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, we bring a liberal religious voice to the great city of Miami. I am Maria Poviones Bishop, your worship associate today, and I use the pronouns she and her. We care about one another and want everyone to stay safe. For us, wearing a mask is an expression of love and safety for the members, friends, and children of this community. So please wear your mask while in the sanctuary. UU Miami wants to acknowledge that we gather on the traditional land of the Miccosukee, Tequesta, and Seminole people, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. May we continue to learn how to be better stewards of the land we inhabit as well. UU Miami is a community of brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We invite you to learn more about us. Just email Reverend Tom at revcapo, REVCAPO, @gmail.com for more information. What is joy to you? Reverend Karen G. Johnston writes about joy. Spirit of life, we seek to touch that joy that never leaves this world, that is not happiness built on happenstance, but is a living, breathing joy, greater than any single moment. In those moments we cannot feel it, let us seek to remember it is always there, that it is always there, around us and in us. Reverend Tom will share his thoughts on how we might open up to joy. And now please join me in our unison affirmation, first in English and then in Spanish. Love is the spirit of this faith, and service is its prayer. In love we agree to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra fe, y el servicio es su oración. En amor acordamos vivir unidos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en libertad y ayudarnos el uno al otro. And now I invite you, those of you at home, to get your chalices and candles for our chalice lighting moment. I offer these chalice lighting words by retired ordained minister in the United Church of Christ, Barbara Rode. We light this flame in remembrance of our ancestors, who kindled bonfires on the barren hills of winter, to beg the sun to stay alive, to give it strength for its return. We light this flame in remembrance of those ancient people who each winter solstice carried a new fire into their homes to cleanse them and purify them and make them anew. We light this flame in gratitude to all those people who from the depth of history have carried the light of life to this moment, who have preserved and handed on life's radiant beauty. We light this flame in affirmation of the light that dwells within each of us, the light that is part of the one light. We are not asked to look at the light. We are asked to look at and love and praise and heal the world this light illuminates. So be it.
We begin tonight by casting our circle to the sacred, to honor the elements and the directions. We begin our ritual tonight with the casting of the circle with words and song. We welcome family, friends, and spirits from the four corners of the earth, east, south, west, and north. We invite you now to virtually hold hands. Imagine yourself energetically connected to the person closest to you. Hand to hand, this circle is cast.
We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. You hear us sing, you hear us cry, now hear us call you, spirits of air and sky. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. Inside our hearts there grows a spark, love and desire, a burning fire. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. Within our blood, within our tears, there lies the altar of living waters. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. Take our fear, take our pain, take the darkness into the earth again. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending. We are a circle within a circle, with no beginning and never ending.
The dark has come. The earth, in her great dance around the sun, has come inevitably to the solstice, the time of extremes, of distance, of darkness and light. In our hemisphere, we experience this time as one of cold darkness, of shortening days and lengthening nights. The earth is tipping, from our perspective, further and further away from the sun. We wait, but the moment when the darkness is greatest, is not entirely predictable. The spinning dance of the earth continues, but for one brief instant, when the axis of the earth's rotation crosses the line through the center of our orbit around the sun, the tipping stops, and for a moment, we seem to stand suspended in space, pulsing with potential movement and ongoing life. And then, like a child's top that almost fell over, we are saved by the spin and lifted up again towards the light.
As we continue to celebrate light, I again invite you to join me in singing This Little Light of Mine, verses 1 and 2.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it
watching our service, I invite you to take out your smartphone, open the camera app, and point it to the QR code. It will open to the UU Miami donation page. Or you can go to uumiami.org and click on the donate button. And those who are present with us in the sanctuary today, there will be a basket passed around for your donation. Or you too can point your smartphone at the QR code on the screen. Today, you will have the opportunity to not only donate to this congregation, but also to Florida Rising. They describe themselves as a nonprofit that organizes multiracial movements to win elections, change laws, and create a state where everyone can be safe, happy, healthy, and whole. They advocate for economic and racial justice across Florida. They build independent power that centers on historically marginalized communities, so everyday Floridians shape the future of this state. This congregation is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place and the work we do in the world, for we are now the keepers of the flame.
I invite you to close your eyes, sitting comfortably in your chair, listening to your breath in and out. It is quiet and it is dark, the time of the greatest darkness. In our world of electric light, we do not often let ourselves be in the darkness. Let yourself be in the darkness now. Wrap it around you gently like a comfortable blanket. Breathing deeply as you sink deeper and deeper into the dark. It is here in our own darkness that we carry our secret yearnings, hopes, frustrations, loneliness, fears, grief, or worries. It is here in the dark we take refuge from the world and its great heaviness. Let the darkness speak to you now. Let it give voice to all those thoughts, feelings, and desires that have yet to see the light. As you listen to the darkness, become aware that you are listening to shadowed parts of yourself. Thoughts, feelings, yearnings that have been hidden away. In this moment, as you listen to the darkness, become aware that time is standing still. In this moment, you have the greatest access to the dark and all that lives within it. Listen. Listen. And now it is that time begins again. See, sense, or feel the smallest spark of light growing in the distance. Breathe deeply, aware that with each breath, the light grows brighter and warmer, illuminating all that has been in the darkness. As the light grows brighter, become aware in a very conscious way of what shadowed parts of yourself, what yearnings, hopes, feelings you are now embracing in the light. Awakening new possibilities, new opportunities for growth. Take a moment now to express gratitude for the darkness. Darkness that has provided refuge, comfort, and sometimes escape. And express gratitude for the new light that has come again, bringing hope, clarity, vision, and purpose. May the light we seek for ourselves. On this night, grow even brighter, and may those in the world who know only darkness feel the first illuminating sparks of the new light as well. Blessed be.
Videos you've seen this morning come from last year's winter solstice ritual. Last year we were unable to hold the ritual in a space with people, so we held it virtually while we recorded it here. Winter solstice is the shortest day and the longest night of the year. It's generally on December 21st, but the world is not a perfect circle, and it wobbles a little bit. And so it could be a little earlier, a day earlier, or a day later. You see, our calendar is 365 days a year, and the Earth's orbit is 365.256 days a year. The winter solstice that most of us think about is the winter solstice in the northern hemisphere. The southern hemisphere experiences summer solstice during our winter solstice. Back to the beginning of human beings existing on this planet, humans have watched, studied, considered, and even deified the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth. And they kept track of the sun's movement because that was extremely helpful to them in surviving, particularly in agricultural societies. Keeping track of the sun's movement helped them to know when to plant and when to harvest. And from humans' observations and their agricultural needs developed celebrations. Some of our major world religions have celebrations during this time of the year, Christmas, Hanukkah being two of them. But these are new celebrations. If we go back to 9500 to 4000 BCE in Scandinavia, Yule was celebrated during the winter solstice. And it was celebrated through January. The celebration was in recognition of the return of the sun. Fathers and sons would bring home large logs, which became known as Yule Logs. They would set one end of the log on fire. The people would feast until the log burned out, which usually took about 12 days. And winter solstice was tied to such religious celebrations in ancient Rome as Saturnalia, Saturn was a god of agriculture, so Saturnalia. Gifts were given, sacrifices were made during the winter season. In addition to that, there was Mithra's birthday, celebrated by the upper class in Roman society. The ancient Indo-Iranian god of light was synchronized in later years of the Roman Empire with Sol Invictus, god of the unconquered sun. And the winter solstice was not just celebrated on the European continent. There are archaeological indications that the winter solstice was recognized in other civilizations around the world. The Incan Empire in southern South America, and the Han Dynasty in China. But here's the thing I'm wondering. Why has the winter solstice become meaningful in our postmodern world? What significance does it hold for so many people today? Certainly, the resurgence of earth-centered religions and spiritual beliefs has made the winter solstice something you might hear about more now than, say, 50 years ago. It might be because more people feel most spiritual when they're out in nature and or attending to the cycles of nature. You know, in our world right now, it is so easy to disconnect from the natural world, even from the seasons. We live in homes that are climate controlled, and we buy food once that was only available in certain seasons. We can get it at the grocery store anytime. The impact of the seasons for many can be avoided, especially if you're wealthy, by living in the north in the summer and south in the winter. And by and large, people are taught to look at the sun, the earth, the moon, the stars, even Mother Earth, only through scientific eyes, and or as an inanimate object that's purely for our needs as human beings. It has only a transactional value rather than something to be revered, something that's spiritual, awe-inspiring, divine. What is it about embracing the emotional and spiritual benefits of entering into the darkness that we do during the winter solstice that benefits us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically? What is it about symbolically calling back the sun, lighting up the darkness, celebrated with gatherings and presents, as we do during this dark time of the year, that seems to resonate with so many of us? Tonight, here in this sanctuary, I will be participating in my 8th winter solstice ritual. We started tonight at 6:30. If you're interested in coming, it is a very different experience. No sermons. It is an honoring of the darkness and of the return of the light. The first time I participated in this ritual was in Naperville, Illinois, on a cold, dark winter night. Having lived in the Midwest for about 7 years before that first winter solstice ritual, I'd become more attuned to the changing of the seasons. In fact, I embraced them, finding joy in the fall foliage, the winter snowfall, the reemergence of life in the spring, and the return of the sun, the warmth in the summer. I allowed myself to attend to the lengthening of the nights in winter through my heart and soul, looking for the gifts and blessings of the darkness. And I attended to the lengthening of the days as the year turned, finding new meaning in those ancient stories of resurrection and rebirth. And you know, I found myself reading more of the ancient stories about the winter solstice. It helped me expand the meaning it held for people, not just the practical agricultural meaning, but the spiritual meaning that this time of year held for people of cultures all over the world. I find this practice of reading these ancient stories helps me stay grounded in nature and the natural cycles of the earth that support all life. I wonder what these changing seasons, this winter solstice, might mean for you. I invite you to consider what being more connected with nature and the seasons might offer you. What meaning you might find in the ancient stories of the solstice. How attending to the cardinal directions of the sun, the moon, the stars, how that might enrich your spirituality. I invite you for a moment to imagine sitting around a Yule log as it burns, or sitting around candles on a dark winter night, listening to an ancient story. Open with your heart and mind for something as you listen. Perhaps a blessing, perhaps a new meaning, a possibility, or transformation. In ancient times, in the dry, freezing, cold winter months, a number of kung gathered around one permanent spring, trance dancing, singing, and gaming. Once boldly, boastfully, crabbingly, endearingly, they shared stories, particularly stories of Grandfather Mantis and a time before humans walked the earth. Each morning, Sun Man rose from his bed early in the morning, He stretched and yawned with his long, graceful arms and fingers. And out of his armpits streamed a great light for all people. Grandfather Mantis rocked on his porch, soaking up the sun man's warmth. Yellow light on his skinny old bones. And others felt the sun as well. Rock Rabbit, his wife, Lion, gathering, grandson Mongoose, old sister Blue Crane. Even the spirit of the rainbow rested in a hammock with his feet and arms hanging down. Each day, Sun Man would rise, and as the evening came, his arms would come down, the light would go out, and he would rest. Day after day, night after night, and the people, the creatures of the earth benefited from this light. Whether it be the bee people, the elephant people, the tick people, that's the way they would call them back then, creatures, perhaps. They crinkled, their faces crinkled with pleasure as the sun rose and heated their skins and let them rest. But inside this world, Sun Man grew old. His back grew stiff. His knee joints ached. And he began to nap earlier and earlier. He would rise in the morning, but by afternoon he was ready for his nap. And then he just slept until the next morning. And people, creatures, began to notice. Grandfather Mantis said, "I'm not getting as much heat anymore." And there was more darkness. Darkness lasting longer and longer. And others began to come to Grandfather Mantis and said, "Can you help us? What is going on? Can you fix this?" And Grandfather Mantis turned to himself and he tried to get his thinking strings a-going. But he said, I need a little sweetness to get my thinking strings a-moving. And so he took off his sandal and he threw it on the ground and he turned it into a dog. And he told that dog to go get him some honey. And that dog ran off and brought him back some honey. And he ate the honey and he said, "Oh, my thinking strings are starting to move, but I need some more." So he sent out Mongoose, who brought him a whole hive full of honey. And Grandfather, he took all that honey in, and his thinking strings began to move and quiver. And he said to his son, Go to Sun Man. And when you get there, I want you to grab him and throw him up into the air. And so, his son, with his friends, the children, they crept up to Sun Man, making no noise because he was fast asleep. And they grabbed him by all sides and they put their arms underneath Sunman, they felt the warmth of him. But together they lifted and they threw him up into the air, and he tumbled and tumbled, and the light began to come out from under his armpits and out into the sky. And the mongoose, his son, Mongoose said, "You must go up high into the sky. You must be heat and light for us, so there is no longer cold and darkness, so the whole earth will have its days." And Sunman heard this. He let himself grow hot as fire and let his tumbling turn him around and around in a ball. And that day Sunman became a bright circle of heat up in the sky. Grandfather Mantis was so proud. He tapped his brown tooth, his old brown tooth, and he said, "What man is equal to me? What but I have this magic, these thoughts of mine that gave us a solution." And Rock Rabbit, his wife, looked at him and shook her head and said, "Well, I guess I can't scold you for being proud, because we are warm again." And that first day, with the new sun high in the sky, the people rejoiced and drank clean water, and they put on their finest clothes. And now they could see each other with the sun's brightness. And now, each day, the sun rises up in a big round ball and sets into the night. And at the night, we're called to look at the stars. And in the day, we bask in the warmth of the sun.
And for our final hymn this morning, I invite you once more to rise in body or spirit, and for the last time, celebrating light, singing all 3 verses of This Little Light of Mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And now we want to share our thanks and gratitudes. Thank you to Steve Snyder for running our live stream and caring for our glorious campus. to Joseph Talleda for accompanying our hymns and providing wonderful music, to Carly Pulowski for leading us in singing. Thanks to our greeters, and finally to all of you. Our hearts are warmed by being with you virtually today and in person. Please watch for your weekly email newsletter, and please share your thoughts and photos through the UU Miami Facebook group. You can visit our website for upcoming online programming. At 1 p.m. today, we will continue the class Building Your Own Theology, which will be multi-platform, in person, in the Emerson Room, and on Zoom. Today we will be exploring the concept of God and other higher powers we have in our lives. These classes are open to anyone, even if you haven't attended before. After today's service, you can join us online for coffee hour discussion using the link you will find on uumiami.org at 12:30 p.m. There will be box lunches available today after the service for a suggested donation of $5 in the sanctuary. Tonight, we will hold a winter solstice ritual service at 6:30 p.m. in this sanctuary. Be prepared to enter the darkness of the longest night of the year and leave with the light as we celebrate the sun's return. There will be readings and songs and music. All ages are welcome to this very unique and special service. On Friday, December 24, we will have a Christmas Eve service in this sanctuary with seasonal readings and carols and lighting of candles. We will reflect from a Unitarian Universalist point of view on the Christian story of the birth of Jesus. And next Sunday, December 26, Reverend Tom's sermon will be After Joy, What Next? This will be a fully recorded service created by Reverend Tom Capo, Alex Colazzi, our music director, the UU Miami Choir, and others. You can watch this on YouTube or attend in the sanctuary. Spiritual leader Baha'i wrote, quote, "Joy gives us wings. In times of joy, our strength is more vital, our intellect keener, and our understanding less clouded. We seem better able to cope with the world and to find our sphere of influence. But what about after joy? Please join us."
You know, I want to say that this time of multi-platform worship is different. And there are people who still, and will, and we all go through ups and downs, have difficulty being with us in person. And our worship associate, for instance, this morning was unable to be with us, but still can be with us virtually. So I know that it's a strange world we live in right now, but it is an opportunity for us to learn new things and to grow in ways we had not expected. I did want to affirm something that was announced, and that is that at 1 o'clock I will be teaching Building Your Own Theology, but I'm not going to talk about God today. I'm going to be talking about ethics and morals, how we develop them, what your personal ethics and morals are. So I invite you to join me at 1 o'clock in the Emerson Room, which is across the breezeway, for the for that class. It'll be virtual and in person. Now, take a moment, if you would, and this is, you know, normally in the service we like to greet one another. We like to express our connections to one another as human beings, as community. And so I ask you for just a moment to look around, to look at the people that are here. Wave, say hello, however you want to do that. You know, we still are a community. And I would encourage you, after we're done with the service today, reach out to those people, especially those people you don't know well, and get to know them. Let us spend some time in community with one another, sharing a little about ourselves and what's important to us in our lives. And this is how we build and strengthen this place that is so important to so many of us. I have some closing words for us today. They were written by Joan Goodwin, an author and leader in liberal religious education in Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist churches. This will allow us to close the circle today. Spirit of the East, Spirit of air, of morning and springtime, be with us as the sun rises in the time of beginning, time of planting. Inspire us with the fresh breath of courage as we go forth on new adventures. Spirit of the South, Spirit of fire, of noontime and summer, be with us through the heat of the day and help us be ever growing. Warm us with strength and energy for the work that awaits us. Spirit of the West, Spirit of water, of evening and autumn, be with us as the sun sets and help us to enjoy a rich harvest. Flow through us with a cooling, healing quietness and bring us peace. Spirit of the North, Spirit of earth, of nighttime and winter, be with us in the darkness in this time of gestation. My friends, may we be grounded in the wisdom of the changing seasons as we celebrate the spiraling journey of our lives. Amen, and blessed be.